Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to another video from Average FPL. So, just before we get started into this one, I just want to say a big thank you for all the support on last week's wildcard video. Got over 1,200 views, which is the most by far, and a lot more new subscribers as well. So, just thank you for the support. Any more support on the videos is really appreciated. And let's get into it. So, what we have today is just a wildcard team for game week 3. So, I thought maybe do these not necessarily every week, but especially at the start of the season, people are maybe struggling with the teams a bit and looking for new ideas. And so hopefully it'll help a few people out there if that's you. So in goal, what we've decided to do is go for a mixture of Ward and Ramsdale. Ward speaks for himself at 4 million and playing. Ramsdale at 5 mil, I wouldn't necessarily go over 5 mil for any goalkeeper, but Arsenal are full of confidence and he will play. Whereas with Tierney coming back, defenders are a rotation risk because you've got different combinations of players that could play at left back or centre back. You also had Ben White playing at right back at the start of last game, and Tomiyasu came on for him. Um, but the next six are Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa, Man United, Everton, and Brentford. So from a defensive point of view, they look pretty good. Rounding out the defence, we've got Patterson and William. Cheap players that are playing. Everton have Forest and Brentford and Leeds in the next three, so you might want to have him playing against them. And then we've got some more expensive players as well. So we've got Robertson, still cheaper than Trent, and a differential as well, lower percentage owned. I think he's just above 10% owned. And Liverpool's fixtures look good, as you would expect, especially on the fixture sort of tracker that you can see. Those fixtures are always going to look good, so it's important to look more carefully into the teams that they're playing and the more recent form because those fixture ratings don't change throughout the season, or at least they didn't last season. But they've got Man U, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves, and it's Liverpool, so they're always going to be favourites for a game. And same with Cancelo, 2 clean sheets so far. Fantastic fixtures moving forward. He's also got an assist in the last game. A little bit fortunate, but even still, that's why he's in there because he's putting those balls in the box. They've got Newcastle, Palace, Forest, Villa, Spurs, Wolves, and Man United, and Southampton, and you can expect clean sheets from those and possible more attacking returns. Now, last defender I've got is Eric Dyer. So last week we talked about having Kulusevski. I've kind of made a bit of a Spurs swap around this week for this wildcard team. If you're thinking of wildcarding now, because while Spurs haven't kept a clean sheet yet, the law of averages says they will at some point. Now I know that's not really anything to go on as such, but they're not always going to concede goals. Even if you don't believe in averages, the fixtures against low-scoring teams in the next four could change your mind. Wolves, Forest, West Ham, and Fulham have only scored 4 goals between them in their first 8 combined league games. And Dyer's getting 90 minutes compared to selection headaches for the wing backs. You've got Sessegnon, Doherty, Perisic, um, players like that that maybe you don't think are going to necessarily get not only 90 minutes but any game time at all. And against teams like that, you're going to want your defenders playing. That's why they're there. Moving into midfield, so we switched to Martinelli. 2 goals in 2 games, also a lot cheaper. Gone up to than players like Saka and Odegaard. Gone up to 6.2 million, but still a bargain. Looks like he's going to play. Would be interested to see when Smith Rowe comes back. Uh, if Martinelli's minutes drop, but then if you've got a player that started the season well, they are they're going to it's their spot to lose, isn't it? So I wouldn't hesitate to get him in. I think you go with the form player right now if you're wild carding and you're looking at Arsenal. Um, Andreas and Pearson, they're just like Patterson and Williams. They're cheap and they're playing. Fixtures don't matter so much for players on your bench. If one of these four, they'll have a decent fixture each week, and you just bench the rest. You might, on the occasion, you might need someone off your bench, but at the start of the season, when rotation is less, it's less likely. You've also got to bear in mind that the World Cup is coming up, and so these teams are going to maybe rotate a bit less now, and they're going to try and hammer it because their players are either going to get a break over the World Cup, or it's not really their problem if they're playing with the national teams and a bit tired from playing too much Premier League minutes. That's not something they need to necessarily concern themselves with. Looking at De Silva, I've added him in here, and he's more of a playing midfielder rather than a cheap bench player. He's already risen to 4.6 million, so he's definitely someone you can jump on. And he's got 2 goals so far. He's not going to score every week, but Brentford have great fixtures too, with Fulham, Palace, Everton, Leeds, and Southampton in the next five. And he's low risk at 4.6 million. What do you want from a 4.6 million defender? If he's got a goal threat, that's fantastic. And he enables other people to get in your team as well. Up front is where the bulk of the money's going this week, and it's hard to look past Jesus and Haaland. We spoke earlier about Arsenal's fixtures from a defensive point of view, but the same can be said from an attacking sense. Jesus, fantastic at the weekend. He's owned by about 73-74% of teams. I would captain him. I would ride that wave. I think, Arsenal are a real momentum team at the moment, and looking forward, I don't see why that would change. So if you are wildcarding, I would 100% triple up on Arsenal and just go with it. Haaland's already gone up 0.2 million price, and it's easy to see why his doubts over his playing time have swiftly left with 2 starts in the first two. And being the focal point of Man City's attack means he's always going to get chances. I know he didn't score at the weekend. A lot of people captained Haaland for that game against Bournemouth, and that's fair enough. Bit of advice as well: don't if your captain doesn't work out, don't look back on regret because the chances are that you probably won't captain the highest scoring point getter in your team every week. That just won't happen. All you have to do is at the time of the decision is think, is this the right decision? With the information you got now, before a ball is kicked, is this the right call? I always say sort of captain the biggest hitter with the best fixture. And if the answer is yes and you feel like you're captain the right player, then that's just how it is. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Captaincy makes a big difference in FPL, but you can't win it all the time. So don't be too hard on yourself if it's not worked out. And you're sat here now a bit worried about Salah playing tonight. It happens, doesn't it? Last we have Kane. So we got off the mark yesterday. It could be a springboard. We spoke about Spurs' favourable fixtures earlier. Um, I do think someone like Kane, you can mix it up and get Son instead. I would have a Spurs attacker in your team. I do think there's chances there, and there's creativity and goals to be had. And I think usually if someone does score, it's Kane and Son. So having one of those in would be a good option in my opinion. Alternatively, you could downgrade him to Ivan Toney from Brentford and upgrade a midfielder to someone like Sterling. I know Sterling's maybe a bit of a unusual pick, but Chelsea's fixtures do look good coming forward as well. And he is playing further forward. He's playing basically up front, and Chelsea scoring and creating those chances, someone's got to finish them off. So I would say Sterling be good, but likewise you could swap Kane to Hazard or somebody like not Hazard, Havertz, and to go that way as well. So yeah, just a few last couple of points. Don't go chasing points in your team. So you'll be looking at players that you wanted to get in your wildcard team that have scored lots of points so far. Those points have gone. Like, there's no guarantee that they've scored. You've got, say, De Silva, who scored 2 goals in his first 2 games. No guarantee he's going to score 2 goals in his next 2 games. You've got to try and look for those players that you think are going to be the next De Silva or Martinelli in the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks. If De Silva and Martinelli, aren't going to be players you're going for, look for where those points are going to come from. Now, of course, form is important, and if a player's scoring points immediately, they can absolutely keep that run going. But after 2 weeks, there's not really much form to go on. It's just the beginning of trends. Would you expect De Silva and Martinelli to score 38 goals this season? Because if that's why you're getting them in, because they scored two in two, you kind of, you're kidding yourselves a little bit that form's going to keep going. So you have to be prepared for blank game weeks. A bit like Haaland this week. People got him in thinking, he's gonna score 4 against Bournemouth, and he could have done on another week, but that whole panic and clamour to get him in, and now Kane's even dropped in price. I think Kane's looking just as good an option as Haaland possibly moving forwards. So, just a bit of advice there. Don't put pressure on yourself. Obviously we're doing this as a wildcard video, but there's no pressure to wildcard after 2 weeks. Stick with your gut. You picked a team at the start of the season. You might need to make a couple of changes, but you picked that team because you thought they'd do well. So give them a chance to back your decisions up. Um, if not, you've got the wild card there. I do think a lot of people are going to be wild carding early on with unlimited transfers over the World Cup time frame. So yeah, hopefully this has helped people. Let me know what you think. Appreciate any support on the video, and I will see you in the next one.